Spoiler alert. The movie begins with a meteor landing in Germany, but the locals quickly discover that it's actually an alien invasion. These aliens are called mimics. They are merciless and very hard to kill. Soon, the mimics begin conquering the rest of Europe, and countries around the world unite to form one big army called the United Defense Force, or UDF. After years of resistance, the UDF finally scores a major victory in the Battle of Verdun. The hero of the battle is Sergeant Rita Vrataski. People nickname her the Angel of Verdun after this victory. Following the win, News Channel invites military PR officer Major William Cage to help encourage more people to join the army. Seeing the victory as a turning point, the UDF announces the largest mechanized invasion in human history, called Operation Downfall. Major Cage is sent to London to cover this historic battle. But when General Brigham tells him to cover the offensive on the front lines, the inexperienced and cowardly Cage reveals that he is just a media officer. He is not a warrior and has never seen real combat. Cage tries to blackmail Brigham into canceling the order. The general pretends to agree, but as soon as Cage leaves the room, Brigham orders his immediate arrest. Coward Cage tries to escape, but fails. Cage is now sleeping on a pile of bags at a military base in England. A sergeant wakes him up disrespectfully. Cage doesn't appreciate it, but the sergeant doesn't care. Master Sergeant Farrell shows up and dismisses the sergeant. Later, he shows Cage a letter stating that he is a private soldier impersonating an officer. It also says that Cage is a deserter and has been sent here to join the troops fighting the mimics. Cage can't believe what he's hearing. Master Sergeant Farrell then assigns him to a group of misfit soldiers called the J Squad. When he catches them gambling, something he dislikes, Farrell makes them eat the playing cards as punishment. He then tells them to make sure Cage is combat ready before the big battle starts the next day. When Cage hears this, he begins to panic and protest. But Farrell doesn't care. He tells Cage that he will be baptized and reborn as a new soldier tomorrow morning, then leaves him there. The next morning, everyone is ready to go except Cage. He is afraid and has zero idea on how to operate a battlesuit. As they near the battle zone, his helicopter gets hit and starts to explode. Everyone begins to eject, but Cage hesitates. Farrell tells him to eject or die. Facing certain death, Cage hits the eject button just before the helicopter explodes. His landing is messy, but he's alive. His first traumatic experience is seeing a helicopter crash and crush one of his squad members right in front of him. Another helicopter crashes nearby, and Cage barely dodges it just in time to save himself again. As he looks up, he sees the famous war hero Rita Vrataski fighting multiple mimics at once. She takes them down swiftly, but just as she turns her attention to Cage, a blast suddenly hits her from behind, killing her instantly. Cage tries to run again, but Farrell sees him and pulls him along. The rest of the J Squad realizes that this was a trap. The mimics were already expecting them. While Cage struggles to figure out how to use his weapon, he notices the ground moving. A mimic emerges and attacks the squad with lightning speed. Suddenly, bullets begin firing from Cage's battlesuit, and he manages to shoot the mimic, killing it. As Cage celebrates his first kill, another mimic approaches. This one is bigger and different from the previous one. It's an alpha. He stays still as it scans the area. Then he spots a claymore mine lying next to a fallen soldier. The alpha sees him and attacks immediately, but Cage quickly grabs the claymore. A massive explosion goes off, killing both of them. Cage then wakes up on the pile of bags again, as if he just had the worst nightmare. But strangely, the nightmare he experienced feels eerily similar to the present moment. The same sergeant begins disrespecting him again, and Master Sergeant Farrell shows up to introduce himself. Except Cage already knows who he is. Farrell then takes him to the J Squad's living quarters. Cage can't believe he's experiencing the exact same situation as in his nightmare. Farrell finds the cards again and makes the soldiers eat them, just like before. Cage is confused at first, but slowly begins to accept it. This time, he's a little more familiar with the battle suit. And just like in his nightmare, the helicopter gets shot down again. Shocked, Cage is once again the last one to eject. He immediately warns his squad member to look out for the falling helicopter, but it's too late. It crushes him again. He also sees Vrataski killing multiple mimics, just like before. But this time, he manages to save her from the blast that previously killed her. Unfortunately, he gets hit instead. Vrataski takes the battery from his suit and leaves him behind. Soon after, a mimic arrives and kills him. And once again, Cage wakes up on the same pile of bags. Cage now realizes that this is no nightmare. Every time he's killed, he wakes up here again. He immediately goes to find Master Sergeant Farrell to explain what's happening to him. He correctly predicts the letter in Farrell's pocket and even names his hometown correctly. Farrell is impressed, but it doesn't change anything. Cage is still forced to join the J Squad and fight in the upcoming battle. Cage tries to prove he's not crazy by saying the names of the J Squad members, even though they've never met him before. He also reveals their hidden cards and that Farrell would make them eat the cards if he finds them gambling. They're all impressed by Cage's ability to see the unknown, but no one believes his warning. Farrell tapes Cage's mouth shut, and he ends up on the helicopter once again. He yells and eventually manages to remove the duct tape. But just as he tries to warn everyone, the helicopter is shot down again. This time, Cage is the first to eject and lands more gracefully. He immediately rushes to save his squad member, but ends up getting crushed in his place. Once again, he wakes up on the same pile of bags. Each time this happens, Cage becomes more efficient with his movements and decisions. One time, he approaches Vrataski immediately to warn her about what's going to happen. He proves he knows the future by predicting the mimic's attack with precision. He knows that people will listen to her and possibly stop the operation, since it's clearly an ambush. That's why he wants to get her to safety. She tells him to find her right away the next time he wakes up. With this new goal, Cage willingly visits the J Squad again. He no longer wants to waste time. His only focus now is finding Vrataski. After many attempts, he finally finds her. He tells Vrataski exactly what will happen during the beach assault, and she instantly believes him. She tells him to follow her and warns him to never reveal his ability to anyone, or the government might capture and experiment on him. As they talk, Cage learns that his power to reset time comes from the Alpha he killed with the Claymore mine. Its blood entered his system, giving him the same ability the mimics use to control time. This is how the aliens have always stayed one step ahead, by resetting time whenever they lose. Vrataski once had the same ability after killing and accidentally absorbing an Alpha's blood like Cage. However, she believes that she lost it after being badly wounded at Verdun and receiving a blood transfusion after. They go to see her friend, Dr. Carter, who immediately asks Cage if he has started having visions. Cage is confused, so Vrataski explains that when she had the power, she would sometimes see glimpses of the Omega's location in her dreams. But after her transfusion, the visions stopped. Dr. Carter explains that the Omega is the central brain of the mimics. It controls both the smaller mimics and the powerful Alpha. Whenever an Alpha dies, the Omega resets time by 1 day to prevent that death from happening. Now that Cage carries Alpha blood, he has inherited the ability to trigger the time loop every time he dies. With this ability, Dr. Carter and Vrataski tell Cage that he must die daily while they search for the Omega's location and to prevent Operation Downfall, saving millions of lives. Cage suddenly feels the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he doesn't like it one bit. He had been trying to avoid the war from the start, and now he's at the very center of it. He suggests going to General Brigham for help, but Vrataski shuts the idea down. She tells him she already tried that and ended up as a government test subject. Now, all they have is each other. Cage admits he's still a rookie when it comes to using the battlesuit. He's worried that if he makes a mistake, he might lose the time resetting ability before they locate the Omega. To help him improve, Vrataski takes him to the training room. Knowing that Cage can reset time, she doesn't hold back during the sessions. Each time he dies, he gets to the point quicker and comes back stronger, but dying every day has its own disadvantage. The Omega soon realizes that a human can trigger the time loop too, and as it tries to find Cage, he begins to have visions as well. Cage explains the vision to Dr. Carter, who quickly narrows down the Omega's possible location. Now, Cage and Vrataski work together to find a way to escape the battlefield and destroy it. Each day they get a little closer, but watching Vrataski die over and over begins to take a toll on Cage. With every reset, he grows closer to her, and losing her becomes more painful. Frustrated and emotionally exhausted, Cage becomes tired of the endless, depressing cycle. One day he decides not to meet Vrataski at all. He deserts the base and disappears into the city. But without his help, the Mimics win the battle and invade. Realizing there's no escape from this responsibility, Cage returns and resumes training, this time filled with anger and determination. Dr. Carter becomes excited when he finds the Omega's location, but Cage is no longer impressed. He tells Vrataski there's no way they'll ever survive long enough to escape the beach. Still, they have no choice but to try again. This time, Cage is more focused than ever, and they finally succeed in breaking through enemy lines. Although they are ambushed again in an abandoned town, they keep pushing forward. Eventually, they manage to find a car and escape. For the first time in a long while, Cage begins to feel hopeful. As they drive, Vrataski notices how much Cage knows about her. She starts to feel sorry for him, knowing he had to die countless times just to understand her this well. She admits she doesn't like talking about herself, and warns him that getting to know her will only lead to more pain. Cage brings up a man named Hendrix and asks if she had a similar connection with him when she had the time reset ability. Vrataski gets defensive and tells him that she watched Hendrix die more than 300 times and still remembers every single one of them. So she begs him to stop mentioning his name again. When the car runs out of gas and their battle suits lose power, Cage and Vrataski begin scouting nearby houses for anything useful. Luckily, they find a helicopter. Cage insists they siphon off the gas and return to the car, but Vrataski refuses. She's desperate to reach and destroy the Omega. Cage proposes a coffee break. She agrees, but when he knows exactly how much sugar she likes, she starts to get suspicious. He confesses that they've been in this situation multiple times before, and every time they choose to use the helicopter, she dies, no matter what they do. Frustrated, Vrataski heads toward the helicopter anyway, but Cage stops her. Vrataski feels sorry for him, but despite his pleas, she starts the helicopter anyway. Soon, a Mimic finds them and attacks immediately. Cage, filled with rage, kills the Mimic with an axe. But as several Mimics close in, Cage decides to reset the timeline once again. He once again escapes to meet Vrataski, but then changes his mind when he sees her. He does not tell her about his ability and plans to handle everything himself from now on. Before they take off, he requests extra ammunition and new batteries. Later, Cage returns to the helicopter site and kills every Mimic he can find. Then, he heads to the Omega's location, alone. As Cage goes deeper into the location, everything becomes eerily quiet. When he reaches the supposed site of the Omega, he discovers the Omega has relocated. Suddenly, two Mimics ambush him. Cage tries to shoot himself to reset time, but the Alpha stops him. It wounded him just enough to cause slow bleeding, hoping to drain the Alpha blood from his system and take away his ability. Desperate, Cage finds a way to drown himself before he loses too much blood. After resetting, he visits Vrataski and Dr. Carter again. Carter is confused, but Cage explains that the Omega tried to bait him just like it did to Vrataski at Verdun, but this time it failed. Realizing they can't trust visions anymore, Carter reveals their next move. They must steal a transponder he once built, currently stored in General Brigham's office. If they attach it to a living Alpha, it could reveal the Omega's true location. Cage and Vrataski begin a new cycle of trial and error missions. In time, they manage to succeed. While they're running away, Vrataski tells Cage to use the transponder on himself. It works, and he sees the Omega's true location. It's under the Louvre Museum in Paris. Before they can plan their next move, soldiers in battle suits start attacking them, and one slams their car. The impact knocks them both out. Cage wakes up in a hospital. When he sees that he's had a blood transfusion, he realizes he can't reset the day anymore. Worried that he'll be used as an experiment, he tries to escape. Luckily, Vrataski shows up and helps him. She pulls out her knife and apologizes, but Cage quickly informs her that he's lost the power as well. From now on, it's all or nothing. They escape the hospital. As they near the military base, Cage and Vrataski begin planning their next move. Cage comes up with an idea. He speaks to a J-Squad member and shares personal secrets from his past. Shocked, the soldier tells the rest of his friends. One by one, they begin to believe as Cage reveals intimate details about each of them. Cage warns them that Operation Downfall is doomed to fail. Instead, he offers a new plan. Join him and Vrataski in hunting down the Omega. At first, the squad hesitates, but once Vrataski, the Angel of Verdun herself, backs him up, they're convinced and agree to help. The team seizes a helicopter after capturing 2 pilots. As they approach the Louvre, the sky erupts with rocket fire. Cage quickly tells everyone to eject, but some don't make it out in time. Cage plunges into the sea. He removes his battle suit underwater and swims to the surface. Soon after, he finds Vrataski and the others who survived. They realize they can't walk to the museum. There are too many mimics guarding it. Cage spots a wrecked helicopter nearby. It doesn't need to fly, he says, planning to drive it the rest of the way. While the others clear the areas, Cage and Vrataski check the helicopter and try to get it moving. As its engine stirs, mimics flood the area. 2 heavily wounded soldiers choose to stay and cover them. With no time to spare, Cage and Vrataski push forward. Out of ammo, those 2 detonate claymores in a final act of sacrifice, killing dozens of mimics. Cage grabs a fresh battlesuit to help defend the chopper while Vrataski drives. She spots the
Arc de Triomphe
and maxes the engine, launching the chopper's wreckage toward the museum. Now, only the 2 of them remain. Here, an Alpha, left behind for Operation Downfall, begins searching for them. Vrataski tells Cage to find the Omega and destroy it while she distracts the Alpha. Cage doesn't want to let her go, but she thanks him for bringing her this far and kisses him goodbye. As she lures the Alpha away, Cage limps toward the Omega's location and dives into the water filled with rubble. But the Alpha already took care of Vrataski at this point and is now pursuing him desperately. Just as Cage reaches the Omega, the Alpha catches up and stabs him. Bleeding, Cage turns to show that he's already pulled the grenade pins. The grenades explode inside the Omega, killing it and all the mimics instantly. Before losing his breath, the Omega's blood seeps into Cage's body. He suddenly wakes up, but this time aboard a helicopter just before landing in London. After landing, Cage is met with incredible news. The war is over. General Brigham announces on television that all mimic activity has stopped following a strange energy surge in Paris. Just as Cage once replaced the Alpha when its blood entered his system, could he have now taken the Omega's place and regained the ability to reset time? Without wasting time, Cage heads straight to the military base to see Vrataski. She doesn't recognize him and casually asks what he wants. Cage simply smiles.